What would possess Jin to completely abandon concert security protocols and standard performance practices by personally selecting and bringing multiple fans onto the massive Stanford Stadium stage to sing alongside him during a sold-out show? And how did security and production teams handle the chaos of having regular audience members suddenly sharing performance space with one of the world's biggest stars? The K-pop world was absolutely shattered last night when Jin made what is being called the most shocking and intimate fan interaction gesture in BTS concert history by bringing a small group of fans onto the stage during the third and final Stanford Stadium show. The spontaneous decision apparently being made mid-performance without warning to security, production staff, or the other BTS members who watched with visible surprise as Jin personally escorted several screaming emotional fans from the front row area onto the stage to join him in singing. The footage that has now been viewed over 7 billion times shows Jin walking to the edge of the stage during a solo song section, pointing to specific fans in the front area and gesturing for them to come up, then reaching down to help pull them over the barrier and onto the stage while security personnel initially moved to intervene before apparently receiving instructions to allow the unexpected interaction to proceed. The fact that this occurred during the final Stanford show rather than on opening night suggests Jin felt particularly emotional and connected to the Stanford Army, and wanted to create a special unforgettable moment specifically for them, though the risks involved in having untrained civilians on a complex stage setup with lighting rigs, pyrotechnics, and numerous technical elements created genuine safety concerns that have generated both celebration of the intimate gesture and criticism about the potential dangers. Why would Jin choose the third Stanford concert specifically to make this unprecedented gesture of bringing fans on stage? And does the timing suggest accumulated emotion and connection from 3 nights of performing for the same city's audience created special bond that inspired him to break standard protocols? According to various theories and analysis of BTS's typical tour patterns and behaviors, the choice to make such a dramatic fan connection gesture on the final night of a multi-show residency in one location reflects pattern, where artists often feel particular emotion and desire to create special memories during their last performance in a venue where they've built relationship with local fans over multiple nights. The fact that this was BTS's first time performing multiple shows in Stanford specifically, and that Bay Area Army had demonstrated extraordinary enthusiasm and support across all 3 nights, apparently created atmosphere where Jin felt moved to do something unprecedented to thank them, and to create moment they would remember forever. The specific decision to bring fans on stage rather than some other form of special acknowledgement represents the most direct and intimate form of connection possible, eliminating the physical and symbolic barriers between performer and audience in a way that rarely if ever occurs at stadium-scale concerts where security and logistics typically make such interactions impossible. The detail that has fans absolutely sobbing and that has created some of the most emotional footage in BTS concert history is that when the selected fans reached the stage and stood beside Jin, they were so overwhelmed that several were visibly shaking and crying to the point where they could barely sing along as Jin had intended, and his response was to put his arms around them, hold them steady, and essentially carry them through the performance moment with obvious warmth and patience rather than being frustrated by their inability to perform. The specific image of Jin holding fans who were crying too hard to sing properly, his expression showing understanding and compassion rather than disappointment at the disrupted performance, has become iconic representation of his character, and his genuine appreciation for ARMY that goes beyond viewing them as audience or customers to recognizing them as individuals having profound emotional experiences. The moment when one fan apparently couldn't continue at all due to overwhelming emotion and Jin simply held her while she cried on his shoulder, continuing to sing himself while comforting her, has been described as one of the most pure and beautiful demonstrations of the relationship between artist and fans that has ever been captured on camera. The Stanford Stadium stage where this unprecedented fan interaction occurred is a massive complex setup with multiple levels, technical elements, safety equipment, and carefully planned performer pathways designed to ensure safe navigation during performances that involve choreography, costume changes, special effects, and constant movement. The introduction of untrained fans who don't know the stage layout or safety protocols into this environment created genuine risks including potential falls from elevated platforms, collisions with technical equipment, interference with lighting or pyrotechnic elements, and simply getting lost or confused about where to stand or move while on stage. The fact that Jin apparently made the decision to bring fans up without advanced coordination with production and security teams meant there was no planned safe pathway or designated area for them, requiring security to make split-second decisions about how to accommodate the situation while minimizing risks. The specific fans who Jin selected to bring on stage were apparently chosen somewhat randomly from those near the front of the stage, with his selection process appearing to be based on making eye contact and sensing who seemed most excited or emotional rather than on any predetermined criteria or advanced coordination. The essentially lottery-like nature of who got selected from among thousands of fans in the front sections has created both celebration for those fortunate enough to be chosen and inevitable disappointment and questions about why others equally deserving weren't selected, though most ARMY response has focused on celebrating the lucky fans' experience rather than complaining about the selection process. The other BTS members' reactions to Jin's spontaneous decision to bring fans on stage ranged from visible surprise to supportive encouragement, with some members apparently moving closer to the group to help ensure the fans felt welcome and safe while others maintained their performance positions but showed support through smiles and waves. The fact that the other members rolled with Jin's unexpected deviation from the plan show rather than appearing concerned or frustrated demonstrates both their unity and their shared values about the importance of fan connection, even when it disrupts carefully planned performances. The specific song or segment during which Jin brought fans on stage has been noted as being relatively low-key and safe compared to high-energy dance numbers or moments with elaborate technical effects, suggesting that even in his spontaneous gesture, he retained some awareness of safety considerations and chose a moment when having untrained people on stage would create minimal risks. The choice of a song that featured primarily vocal performance without complex choreography or staging meant the fans could simply stand near Jin without needing to know specific movements or positions, making the interaction more feasible than it would have been during more technically complex portions of the show. The duration that the fans remained on stage with Jin was approximately 5 to 7 minutes according to various timing estimates from footage, long enough to create meaningful experience and for multiple fans to have individual moments of interaction with him, but short enough to avoid the situation becoming too chaotic or the performance energy being completely lost. The decision about when to transition the fans back off stage apparently involved Jin thanking them, taking photos with them on stage that fans in the audience captured, and then having security assist in getting them safely back to the audience area, with the entire interaction being handled with visible care and warmth that made even the exit process feel special rather than abrupt or cold. The audience reaction to watching fellow fans be brought on stage was reportedly a mixture of extreme excitement and screaming from those hoping they might be selected or simply celebrating the lucky fans' experience, combined with what attendees describe as collective vicarious joy as the entire stadium seemed to feel happy for those few individuals who got to experience such intimate interaction with Jin. The specific quality of the screaming and crowd noise during this segment has been described as different from typical concert enthusiasm, with more emotional supportive energy as the audience essentially celebrated alongside the stage fans, rather than just screaming for Jin himself. The social media response has been unprecedented in scale and emotional intensity, with the combination of Jin's warmth and patience with overwhelmed crying fans, the obvious genuine emotion of the experience for everyone involved,